Heiress's shocking cake toss on black woman reveals incredible strength for B deal exposed. Eliana's heart raced as shimmering lights danced across the room, mingling with the laughter and chatter of the elite attending the gala. Sweet Resilience, her beloved bakery, had become a lifeline for many in her community, a sanctuary infused with the warmth of love and baked goods. Growing up in the kitchen with her grandmother, she learned that every scoop of flour and sprinkle of sugar held stories of unity. But tonight, as she stepped into the extravagant ballroom, the weight of the world pressed down on her shoulders like a thick fog. She desperately needed this opportunity, this night, to forge connections that could save her dream. The gala had all the glitz, glimmering chandeliers and lavish table settings, but beneath the surface, it was a stark reminder of the divide between the wealth she stood against and her humble roots. Eliana navigated through the crowd, every smile a mask of optimism she worked hard to wear. It was time to spread the word about her bakery, to find support for people who believed in community just like she did. Just as she began to mingle, a commotion erupted near the stage. Madison, the young heiress, stood poised and perfect under the spotlight, her eyes darting around not for genuine champions but for the spotlight she sought to shine on herself. Eliana had never connected with her, but suddenly, the room felt electric as Madison's laughter echoed through the tension-filled air. Then, in a shocking twist, the heiress, perhaps feeling cornered by uncomfortable truths, hurled a magnificent cake across the room, right at Eliana. The soft icing splattered against her dress, sending shock waves through the crowd, followed by gasps and murmurs. Not exactly how I imagined this evening, Eliana thought, her chest tightening with humiliation. As laughter bubbled up, it was a painful mirror of the systemic issues she'd lived. Glitz and privilege sharply contrasted with her family's struggles. The incident went viral almost instantly, sparking debates about privilege, race, and justice. Social media caught fire, lightning fast. With support from her family, who rallied like an unstoppable force, Eliana shifted her focus. She transformed Sweet Resilience into a cornerstone for community discussion around social justice, forgiveness, and unity. People began filling the bakery, finding solace in her pastries and the values they embodied. Eliana's name, a symbol of resilience, soared beyond the bakery's walls. Just when she thought it couldn't get weirder, a message from Madison arrived. The heiress wanted to talk. A chance for redemption? Eliana pondered, her heart racing again with a mix of hope and resentment. As she read Madison's explanation, revealing her family's dark legacy, anger wrestled with empathy inside her. Could she forgive? Was there space for their worlds to intertwine, or was that just an idealistic fantasy? As Eliana hung on that precipice between justice and compassion, the stakes rose higher. Could she extend a hand toward the very person who had wronged her, or would she build a wall as strong as the ones that divide so many? The answer could change her life and possibly others forever. Will she choose the path of reconciliation, or will the weight of injustice harden her heart? The question lingered in the air, pulsing with urgency as the flower dust settled on her dream. Eliana stared at her phone, the screen illuminating her face as she processed Madison's request. Her heart raced with confusion and fear. How had it come to this? The heiress, who seemed to live in a world so different from hers, now wanted a conversation? It felt surreal. She took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm of emotions swirling inside her. Friends and family often told her she was stronger than she thought. Yet now, as she contemplated this unexpected opportunity, a rush of doubt washed over her. Would engaging with Madison simply be stepping into quicksand? Hey, you okay? Ava, her oldest friend, wrapped her arms around Eliana, pulling her from her thoughts. Eliana looked up, eyes wide. Her dress was still plastered in cake, remnants of the gala clinging to her like insecurities. I just got a text from Madison, Eliana admitted, her voice trembling. She wants to meet to apologize, I guess. Ava's brow furrowed. What do you think? Is it a trap? Eliana didn't know. Part of her felt like punching a wall, while another part flickered with curiosity. Could they find common ground between their worlds? Maybe it's more than just an apology, Eliana said quietly. What if this could change something? For us, for everyone? Or it could blow up in your face, Ava replied, ever the protector. You have a lot on your plate. Sweet resilience is blooming. Why risk that? The bakery had turned into a sanctuary for so many, yes, but there was still a long way to go. Conversations that mattered needed to happen. Perhaps confronting Madison could illuminate something deeper, something that helped bridge the chasm between their lives. Because someone needs to take a stand, Eliana muttered, her determination rising. I grew up hearing about the importance of understanding and forgiveness. Maybe she could, too. Just be careful, Ava said, squeezing her shoulder. You deserve to have boundaries. Don't lose yourself in this. Eliana nodded, absorbing her friend's wisdom. It was a leap into the unknown. This could either cement her in the community's eyes as a beacon of strength, or set her up as just another target of privilege. Either way, a decision had to be made. Later that evening, with a resolute heart, Eliana typed her response. I'd like to hear you out. But I want this conversation to matter. She hit send and felt a wave of relief mixed with anticipation. The weight of the past loomed over her, but a sliver of hope sparked within. Could this be a chance for genuine change? Days passed, filled with whispers in the bakery as people speculated about her meeting with Madison. The thought gnawed at her, a mix of dread and necessity. After all, they both shared a love for community. Didn't that count for something? When the day finally arrived, Eliana stood before the cafe mirror, smoothing her blouse, feeling both empowered and vulnerable. It was strange a simple meeting could lead to a shift in not just her life but countless others. As she approached the quaint coffee shop where they agreed to meet, Eliana's palms felt clammy. The door swung open, revealing Madison already seated, her posture tense, hands fidgeting with a pearl necklace. Eliana, she began, her voice shaky yet sincere. Thank you for agreeing to meet. Before Eliana could respond, a group outside erupted in laughter, instantly silencing the moment. Conflicted emotions churned inside her as she gazed at Madison. Was vulnerability the true nature of privilege? Let us talk, Eliana said, her voice steadier than she felt. Was this the start of something monumental, or just another attempt at brushing issues under the rug? A thought lingered. Was she ready to face whatever came next? Her heart beat faster as she took a seat, every moment feeling heavier than the last. This was just the beginning. Would it be a step toward unity, or another slice of division? Eliana took a deep breath, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingling with the tension in the air. Madison's eyes darted around the cafe, avoiding Eliana's gaze. There was a heaviness between them, a carefully stacked wall of unspoken words and bitter pasts. I hope the cake wasn't too upsetting? Madison finally remarked, a hint of shame creeping into her voice. Eliana could see the flicker of vulnerability in her expression, unexpected yet welcome. It was rare to witness someone of privilege grappling with sincere remorse. Upsetting? It was just cake, Eliana replied, her tone sharper than she intended. It's not about the cake, Madison. You know that. Madison winced, then nodded. You're right. I didn't think. I was caught up, lost in my own world. I want to change that. Her voice cracked slightly, and Eliana felt a pang of empathy. Here was a person who had never faced the harsh realities of life as she had. Eliana recalled all those nights spent in her tiny apartment, working late into the night, baking to pay bills, and keeping her dream alive. The sacrifices were her armor, shaping her in ways Madison could barely understand. But would she let that armor slip now? Change takes action, Madison, not just words, Eliana said softly, her heart racing. What you did hurt people, and apologies only matter if there's real change behind them. It was a gamble, laying her cards on the table like this. But deep down, she sensed a chance. Perhaps there was room for a partnership that could transcend their differences. Madison leaned forward, her determination brightening. Then let us create something together. I want to leverage my resources to support your bakery. Help you expand, maybe even start. I don't know, a program for underprivileged kids in the community who want to learn baking? Eliana's heart skipped. The proposal was bold and terrifying. You want to give me money? After what happened? Why would I trust you? There was a brief silence, a chance for both of them to breathe. And in that silence came clarity. Seeing the pain in Madison's eyes soothed the wall Eliana had raised so high. Surely she wasn't the only one yearning for change. Because I want to atone, Madison replied, her voice firm now. And because I see you, Eliana. Your strength that deserves to be amplified. And I believe we can do that together. Could she actually facilitate a marriage between their worlds? Eliana pondered, her thoughts racing. It felt monumental yet risky, like juggling flames while balancing on a tightrope. And what will that look like? She asked, both wary and intrigued. A baking workshop. Classes for local kids, teaching them not just how to bake, but about entrepreneurship. Opportunities for them to lead. With your guidance, of course, Madison said, passion illuminating her features. Eliana felt a rush of emotions: hope, fear, confusion. Could they actually make a difference together? Or was this another shiny idea destined to fade with the sunlight? I need time to think, Eliana finally said, her voice steady. I want to make this work, but it has to be more than just good intentions. Absolutely, Madison agreed, each word laced with sincerity. Let me know when you're ready. I'll be here. As they left the cafe, the weight of possibility hung in the air, electric and alive. Eliana could feel the pulse of change, an uncharted path stretching before her. With a nod to her past and a grasp of her dreams, she ventured into the world with a surge of hope, a feeling she hadn't embraced in a long time. But would her heart stand the test when faced with the realities of their collaboration? What lurked in the shadows of ambition, and who else might rise to challenge their mission? Eliana stepped outside, the cool air swirling around her like a fresh canvas. The bustling life of the street pulled at her, children laughing, vendors calling, and the familiar hum of life moving forward. Yet she felt stuck, suspended in her thoughts. The cafe seemed far away now, a fleeting moment that could alter everything. She replayed Madison's proposal in her mind, each word echoing. A baking workshop? Children? It sounded so simple, yet the weight of it pressed down on her. She thought of her early struggles when inspiration had slipped through her fingers like flour in a sieve. Could she really be a guiding hand for kids who fought battles she understood too well? And what if this partnership with Madison ended up being another broken dream? As she crossed the street, her phone buzzed, jolting her from her thoughts. It was a message from Sarah, one of her closest friends. Want to meet at the corner deli later? Need to talk. Things are weird with Aiden. No matter what wings she could potentially put on her dreams, Sarah's friendship anchored her, reminding her that life was never just about ambition. It was about connection, too. She responded with a quick thumbs up, then found herself standing in front of her bakery. The window displayed a fresh batch of cupcakes, decorated with vibrant icing. A small pride bloomed in her chest. Each treat was crafted with her heart. They had a pulse, a story. She remembered how she'd started selling her sweets at local fairs, pouring everything she had into each swirl of buttercream, each sprinkle of hope. Stepping inside, the familiar scent of sugar and vanilla wrapped around her like a warm hug. She ran her hands over the counter, a place where so many recipes, ideas, and dreams had been mixed. But now, her mind was a whirlpool of doubt mingling with excitement. Hey Elle, called out Tammy, her part-time employee, pouring delicate caramel into a pot. What's up? You look like you've seen a ghost. Eliana shook her head, forcing a smile. Just a lot on my mind, I guess. Wanna talk about it? Tammy asked, eyes glimmering with genuine concern. Eliana bit her lip, wrestling with whether to confide in her. It's just about this idea for a community workshop. Along with someone I used to, someone I thought I'd never work with. She hesitated, unsure how to articulate her emotions without drowning in them. Tammy's brows furrowed. That's complicated. But it sounds like you're weighing a big decision. Remember, it's okay to feel nervous about it. Yeah, Eliana sighed. It feels like if I let her in, I risk everything I built. It's just I wish I knew what the right move was. Sometimes the best things come from taking risks, Tammy replied, setting the pot aside and meeting Eliana's gaze. Your life is your recipe. You're the one who decides how it's mixed. Eliana exhaled slowly, a flicker of clarity cascading through. Tammy was right. Maybe the fear of embracing this challenge was overshadowing a bigger purpose. Perhaps it was time to take that leap, to blend their experiences and create something meaningful together. As the afternoon wore on, she scraped batter into cupcake molds, her hands busy yet her mind racing. Could she harness the energy from her dreams, pair it with Madison's resources, and really make an impact? Just then, a sharp knock at the door shattered her concentration. She turned to see a familiar face. It was Aiden, Sarah's on-again off-again boyfriend, standing there with an expression she couldn't quite read. "Hey, Eliana," he said, looking unusually serious. "Can we talk?" "I really need to explain." Her heart thudded. Whatever he had to say could change everything. With trepidation edging into her mind, Eliana nodded. The stories of their lives were becoming more intertwined, each moment threaded with possibilities. But what reality awaited them all together? Aiden stepped inside, the familiar bell above the door chiming with an unsettling cheerfulness that felt out of place given his expression. Eliana's stomach nodded. She hadn't signed up for a conversation filled with tension right now, not when she was trying to figure out her next big leap. "Everything okay?" she asked, forcing a calmness into her tone. Aiden ran a hand through his hair, his gaze dropping to the floor before lifting back to meet her eyes. "It's complicated, El. I know things have been rocky between Sarah and me, and I don't want to drag you into our mess," but he hesitated, the weight of unspoken words thickening the air. Eliana crossed her arms, expecting the worst. "But?" He took a deep breath, as if sucking in the courage to continue. "I've made some mistakes, and I need to own up to them. But more than anything, I can't stand the thought of losing her if that's even possible anymore." Eliana felt a rush of sympathy for him. Relationships had their growing pains. She also understood how love could turn into a complicated tangles of emotions, fears, and regrets. "So what do you want from me?" she asked gently. "I don't know. I guess I came here to ask for advice. You've always had a level head, and Sarah trusts you. I need to figure out how to fix things before it's too late." The thought of pouring herself into another person's drama felt exhausting. Still, she couldn't turn her back on someone in need. "Aiden, relationships are tough. You have to be honest with her. Maybe she just needs to hear that you care." He nodded, but his eyebrows remained drawn together, an echo of his anxiety. "I'm scared, El. She means so much to me, and I've acted like an idiot. But what if I destroy everything by telling her how I really feel?" "Sometimes being open is the hardest part," Eliana replied. "You have to take that risk. What do you think she'll say?" "Honestly?" he said, shrugging his shoulders like he was carrying a weight heavier than he let on. "I fear it might drive her further away." Her heart twinged at the sadness in his voice. "You can't live in that fear. You have to act, Aiden. Isn't that what you want?" "What I want is hard," he murmured, pacing slowly in front of the display case. The tension was palpable. Eliana rubbed her temples, her own dilemmas creeping back into her mind. Aiden's heartache was immense, and it placed her in a difficult position. She thought about Madison and her proposal, the uncertainty that swirled around her plans. Could she really help these kids and avoid being overwhelmed by her own vulnerabilities? "Maybe if you put yourself out there," Eliana encouraged softly, "you'd find a path that leads you back to Sarah and maybe to a better version of yourself. You owe it to her, and to yourself." Aiden looked thoughtful, the intensity of their conversation easing into an almost hopeful moment. "Thanks, El. You always know how to make things clearer." Just then, the bell rang again, and Sarah stepped into the bakery. Eliana felt a jolt run through her at the sight of her friend, her gut twisting again as she caught Aiden's stunned expression. "Hey, Sarah," Aiden said awkwardly, shoving his hands into his pockets as if that would ease the tension. "Hey," she replied, glancing from Aiden to Eliana. "What's going on?" Eliana exchanged wary glances with Aiden, and the air thickened with unspoken words. This was a moment where truth hung like cake frosting, sweet yet sticky, ready to drip down the sides and create a mess. What secrets would this encounter unveil? The tension cut through the sweet scent of frosting and butter, and as Eliana stood between them, she knew they were standing on the edge of something big. Well, Aiden began, glancing at Eliana for strength. I was just about to say something important. Eliana's heart raced. This reality could change everything. Did she have the strength to witness the unfolding truth, and what might it create for their tightly knit lives? Aiden's words hung in the air, thick and heavy, like the batter in the mixing bowls around them. Eliana could feel the electricity, the weight of the moment pushing down on her shoulders. She had never seen Aiden this tense before. Important? Sarah echoed, her eyes narrowing slightly. There was a flicker of confusion on her face, but it quickly faded to something more guarded. Eliana sensed a shift in tone. It was as if the room had suddenly turned an awkward corner, and they were all skittish horses around a fence. Aiden was just. Eliana started, but he cut her off, stepping forward. I was going to tell you, Sarah, that I've made some mistakes. Mistakes that could hurt you, he said, his voice strained. Each word seemed to weigh more than the last, carrying his fears and regrets. Sarah shifted her weight, crossing her arms tightly. What kind of mistakes? Why do I feel like I'm bracing for impact? Eliana's heart raced. If he commented on their earlier conversation in front of Sarah, all hell would break loose. I've been blind to things that matter, blind to you, to us. Aiden's eyes were earnest, his sincerity piercing the frosty armor Sarah had built over the years. I don't want to lose you, and I need you to hear me out. Eliana's breath hitched. Would she become a casualty of this battle? The stakes were high, the bonds of friendship thickening the air with tension. Lose me? Sarah asked, incredulous, the sharpness in her voice unveiling how deep the pain ran. What does that even mean? You're the one who distanced yourself. You couldn't make me a priority. Aiden's face crumpled slightly as if she had slapped him. I know, and I'm sorry. Things got complicated. Life got in the way. But I've realized. He paused, searching for the right words. I've realized how much you truly mean to me. Eliana felt an ache for Sarah. The three of them had been through so much together, and here they were at a breaking point. You can't just say that and expect everything to be okay, Sarah countered, her voice shaking under the weight of old wounds. There's a lot at stake here, Aiden. Aiden took a step closer. Desperation clung to him like sweat. I know I make it sound easy, but I want to fight for us. Can't we at least try to talk this out instead of shutting each other out? Silence enveloped them like a thick fog. Eliana could hear the clock on the wall ticking away, each second adding to the tension. Talking is good, but the real question is, what do you even want? Sarah's stubbornness met Aiden's urgency in a clash of wills that made Eliana want to shrink back. A painful pause broke over all three of them. Aiden looked visibly torn between Sarah's hurt and the guilt that had been simmering. I want us back. I want to do better. His eyes searched Sarah's, desperate for a spark of hope. Eliana watched the skirmish unravel before her and realized she was in over her head. Should she intervene again? Would she be disrupting something that needed to happen? Fine, Sarah said at last, her tone softening but still uncertain. Then prove it. Aiden inhaled sharply, the mere spark of understanding igniting a flame in the air. What do you mean? Show me you're serious. Sarah's eyes were fierce, but there was a flicker of vulnerability behind the fire. Words don't mean much if they aren't backed by actions. Eliana's heart sank and soared all at once. This was the break she feared but secretly hoped for. What would happen if Aiden took the plunge? Would it change everything for all of them? In that charged moment, the bell chimed again, pulling Eliana's focus back to the entrance. She turned her head, and a sinking feeling crept into her gut. Who else was about to step into their fragile tableau? The door swung open, and she held her breath, bracing for the unknown. Would this new arrival alter the course of their evening? The door creaked open, and a figure stepped inside, silhouetted against the bright lights spilling from the street. Eliana squinted, her heart skipping a beat as she recognized the outline. It was Maya, Aiden's older sister. The room collectively inhaled, the air turning electric once more. Maya had that presence, a star-like charisma that demanded attention, even if she hadn't planned to steal the scene. Maya? Aiden blinked, surprise washing over his face. He hadn't expected her tonight, not like this. Not when he was trying to mend things with Sarah. Maya raised an eyebrow, taking in the tension that thickened the air. What's going on? Did I walk into the middle of something? Her tone was casual, but her eyes betrayed curiosity, like a detective handling delicate evidence. Eliana could feel Sarah's shoulders tense. The fragile moment they were trying to capture suddenly felt like it was under threat of collapse. It's fine, Maya, Aiden started, but Sarah cut him off. Not really. Her voice was steady as she cast her gaze toward Maya, who stood on the edge of the emotional chaos like a lighthouse in the fog. I think we might need another pair of eyes to help sort this out. Maya's expression shifted, the playful light fading into something more serious. All right, let us hear it. I've witnessed a lot of battles in this group. She stepped closer, sensing the weight of their struggle. What's going on between you two? Eliana watched Aiden's shoulders sag slightly. He looked like a man facing an interrogation, caught between the desire to stand his ground and the urge to flee. Maya, it's complicated, he sighed, glancing momentarily at Eliana, then back to Sarah. I messed up, and I need to make amends. Is it about that night? Maya probed, her voice low but piercing as she focused on Aiden. The party where you disappeared for hours? Everyone has been talking about it. Aiden's neck turned rigid. Not just that, he admitted, shame flickering across his features. I wasn't there for Sarah when I should have been. I've been a coward. Maya looked between the two. She opened her mouth to say something, but a contemplative pause lingered. Eliana wondered where the conversation would lead next. She could feel the momentum shifting, but how? Hey, Maya finally said, her tone softer now. Aiden, if you want to prove you want this to work, you need to show you're willing to change. What did you come here tonight for? The question hung in the air again, this time like an invitation. Aiden's gaze fell on Sarah, searching, pleading. I want to fight for us, he repeated, though it sounded more like a confession now, raw and vulnerable. I just didn't know how. Sarah opened her mouth, but Maya interrupted. Do you genuinely care about Sarah? Because saying it isn't enough. Look at her and really see what's at stake. Aiden's breaths grew shallow as he turned his full attention to Sarah. He looked deep into her eyes, a mirror reflecting both hurt and hope. I do care. I realized I was too focused on my own issues. But if you give me a chance, I promise I'll do better. Eliana could see the gears turning in Sarah's mind. 1,000 thoughts must have raced through her. Could she trust him again? Would the promise of effort be enough? The emotional stakes climbed higher, tension thick as fog. Before Sarah could respond, Eliana felt a sharp pang in her own heart. Watching them was like seeing her own reflection in their struggle, an echo of her unspoken fears. And then, with a tense quiet, Sarah finally met Aiden's gaze with something more than trepidation. Was it determination? Then prove it, but it's going to take more than gestures. Prove to me that you aren't just saying what I want to hear. It's time to step up. Aiden nodded slowly, understanding the road ahead would be long and thorny. Eliana's throat tightened. Would he truly be able to change? Would this be the beginning of a new chapter, or merely a repeat of the old? As the air still crackled with unresolved emotions, the door swung wide once more, startling all of them. This time, it was Daniel, the wild child friend with the unpredictable energy. His presence was like a spark in dry timber, and Eliana held her breath again. What was he about to burst in with, and how would it affect the fragile peace evolving in the room? Daniel burst in, his energy electric, a whirlwind of motion that shattered the tense atmosphere. Hey, you guys! You will not believe what just happened! His grin stretched wide, oblivious to the weight that filled the room. Aiden flinched, throwing a glance at Sarah, who had crossed her arms, her expression uncertain. Maya stepped aside to let Daniel in, clearly curious despite the serious mood he was interrupting. What is it, Dan? Maya asked, raising an eyebrow. Can it wait? Not really. Daniel leaned forward, clearly buzzing with excitement. I just ran into Chloe outside, and she's throwing a party this weekend. We have to go. It'll be huge. His words tumbled out, faster than his mind could handle. Eliana watched the playful hope in Daniel's expression, and a small part of her wanted to embrace it, to latch on to anything that might lighten the gravity between Aiden and Sarah. But as Daniel continued, she felt the satisfaction of their moment slipping through fingers, like sand. Seriously, Chloe is inviting the whole crew. There will be music, dancing, everything. Daniel's voice dripped with enthusiasm. Oh, and there's a rumor that she's get dude. Can we focus for a second? Aiden interrupted, all too conscious of the unfinished conversation hanging like a storm cloud over their heads. Now Daniel paused, his eyes darting from Aiden to Sarah and back again. The weight of the moment seemed to settle again as he reassessed their demeanor. Wait, am I interrupting something important? Yes, Sarah replied, her voice flat. We should be talking about real things, like trust and commitment, not parties and rumors. A thick silence fell, vibrating with mixed emotions. Daniel shifted uncomfortably, glancing between them. He had a knack for tunneling right into the heart of any situation, but he was clearly lost for the first time. Aiden took a deep breath, breaking the silence. Look, Daniel. For once, we need to handle this without distractions. I messed up, and I need to fix it. I'm trying to figure out how to show Sarah I can be better. Daniel's eyes widened, realization dawning as he took a step back, now fully grasping the tension that thickened the air. Oh wow, sorry man. I didn't know. But hey, he said, a glimmer of hope lighting his voice, maybe you could show Sarah you want to make things right by coming to Chloe's party. Meet her friends, introduce her to yours? It's a fresh start. Eliana felt the shift as Aiden contemplated the suggestion. Was it really such a terrible idea? A social event could offer a chance for healing, a casual space away from their conversations about broken trust. Her heart raced as she caught Sarah's eye, searching for a sign of communion. Sarah's brows knitted together as she mulled the idea over. You think going to a party will actually fix things? It might help, Aiden interjected, cautious yet hopeful. I want you to see that I'm serious about not keeping you at arm's length from my life. Daniel nodded vigorously. Exactly. It's all about showing you're willing to try. Nothing like passion, music, and friends to ease the pressure, right? The corners of Sarah's mouth twitched, as if she wanted to smile but was still weighing her decision. The conflicting emotions were palpable as the group fell silent, the tension mixing with the delicacy of potential. Okay, Sarah finally said, her voice softening. If you think it'll help us, I'll give it a shot. Eliana let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. Just like that, a thread of hope was woven into the fabric of their shattered connection. Aiden's relief flooded the room, but Eliana could sense the emotional mountain still looming ahead for them. As the group began shifting toward lighter conversations, Daniel's charm seeped back into the atmosphere, creating a tentative friendship where chaos had once reigned. Eliana felt a tug in her heart as this discordant melody of friendship and uncertainty echoed around her. Would this party truly bring about a change, or merely serve as a temporary distraction? As she contemplated her own feelings, the clock ticked on. The weekend loomed ahead like a shadow waiting to reveal its secrets. Eliana couldn't shake the feeling something monumental was about to unfold. With one last thought for Sarah, who would be facing not just Aiden's past but her own emerging desire for forgiveness, Eliana knew this weekend held the power to shift everything. What would happen when the night of the party arrived, and revelations flooded through the door? The sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the schoolyard as Friday finally rolled in. Eliana stood outside, the brisk air tinged with excitement and an undercurrent of nervousness. She replayed Sarah's tentative acceptance over and over in her mind. Was this party really the first step toward healing? Or a momentary escape from the deeper struggles they faced? As she stepped inside, the sound of laughter filled the air, mingling with the distant beats of music. Eliana took a moment to absorb the scene before her. Students huddled in groups, energy swirling, a vibrant tapestry of friendship and frivolity. She spotted Daniel, animated as ever, his laughter ringing out louder than the music. "Hey, Eliana!" Daniel waved her over, pulling her into the crowd. "Can you believe all these people?" Chloe really outdid herself. Eliana couldn't help but smile, caught up in his enthusiasm. But the moment was short-lived. Her gaze drifted toward Aiden and Sarah, standing somewhat apart from the raucous group. Aiden spoke earnestly, his expression a mix of hope and apprehension, while Sarah's face was an unreadable mask. "What if this doesn't go how they hope?" she thought, a knot forming in her stomach. "Let us grab some snacks," Daniel said, already moving toward the refreshment table. Eliana followed, but her heart was heavy with concern. As they mingled, the night took on a life of its own. Laughter spilled over, stories flew back and forth, and the tension seemed to ease, if only a little. Then came the call for dancing, a chaotic wave that swept everyone onto the makeshift dance floor. Eliana found herself swept up in the moment, moving to the rhythm, feeling the infectious joy of those around her. The pulsating energy was invigorating, almost like a collective promise that everything could turn out all right. But in the back of her mind, she could feel the pull of unfinished business, of whispers that still needed addressing. Suddenly, she caught sight of Aiden and Sarah again. Aiden had taken Sarah's hands, his body language open, warm. Eliana watched as Sarah's expression shifted, an almost imperceptible crack in her armor. Maybe they're finding their way back, Eliana thought, her heart lifting with hesitant hope. But just as quickly, that hope felt threatened. From the corner of the room, Chloe strutted in, and the atmosphere shifted. She was a force of nature, wearing confidence like a dazzling dress. She grabbed the mic, her voice slicing through the din. "All right, everyone. Who's ready for a cake contest?" Cheers erupted, but what caught Eliana's attention was the way Chloe's gaze zeroed in on Sarah. The thrill of competition was electric, but there was something deeper at play. Sarah glanced at Aiden, her eyes flickering with uncertainty. Suddenly, the cake ascended into the air, a towering confection of frosting and sugar, glistening under the lights. Eliana felt a rush of trepidation mixed with excitement. What was Chloe planning? "Come on, Sarah! Show us what you've got," Chloe challenged, her tone playfully taunting yet undeniably sharp. Eliana's heart raced. Would this be a light-hearted moment, a break in the tension? Or would the cake become a symbol, an explosive confrontation waiting to happen? As the cake began its descent, Eliana's pulse quickened. She could almost feel the weight of everyone's attention bearing down. Chloe, high on adrenaline, was ready for the moment. How would Sarah react? Would this be a catalyst for change or the spark that lit an already fragile situation ablaze? Eliana held her breath, bracing herself for whatever came next. What lay beneath the frosting, joy or chaos? She knew the answer could change everything. The cake sailed through the air like a comet, every eye in the room locked on it, breaths held tight. Eliana could feel the tension crackling, a fragile energy that seemed to pause time. Sarah stood frozen, her expression a mix of confusion and fiery determination. Not far away, Aiden leaned slightly forward, his worry palpable. Would this turn into another public humiliation, or could it draw Sarah and him closer together? As the cake splashed against the wall, pure chaos erupted. Laughter and gasps mingled in a cacophony of surprise. But what shocked everyone the most was Sarah. Instead of retreating into herself, she laughed, the sound bubbling up, brightening the space. "Well, if we're going to make a mess, let us do this right." Dropping her hands from Aiden's, she scooped up a handful of cake frosting and turned to face Chloe, who stood wide-eyed. With a playful grin, Sarah splat a glob of frosting right on Chloe's cheek. The room erupted in cheers and laughter. Eliana felt the joy sweep through her, filling up all the cracks of anxiety within her. Suddenly, this wasn't just a party. It had become something bigger, a rallying point for embracing imperfections and shared humanity. Aiden seized the moment, laughter spilling from his lips. He dove toward the snack table, grabbing various pastries and flinging them into the fray, declaring a full-blown dessert war. Eliana watched as Sarah and Aiden transformed, both from the weight of their past mistakes but also within this unguarded moment. With each playful splat of frosting, the walls they had built began to crumble. Laughter became louder, brighter, The room transformed into a vibrant mosaic of connection and healing. "Hey! What about us?" Daniel hollered, joining the frosty frenzy. Eliana laughed out loud as she saw Maya grabbing a dessert slice from the table and flinging it, sending frosting everywhere. It was uncontrollable, chaotic fun, pure joy. In the chaos, Eliana found herself pulled back to the moment, mindful that her heart was mending alongside Sarah and Aiden. There was laughter being dragged out of her, thoughts of the coming days of partnership with Madison, the bakery workshops, dreams sprouting like wildflowers against the wet despair surrounding them. Maybe this moment was her own catalyst, freeing her from the shadows that had loomed so heavily. As the party reached its climax, it sparked the kind of love and understanding that couldn't be ignored. Eliana turned toward the dance floor, the music guiding her. The rhythm pulled her into the moment. She felt elated, as if each step danced out her fear of being vulnerable. Then suddenly, the room quieted. Aiden stood on a makeshift platform. "If we can have this much fun throwing cake, then let us talk about building something together," he exclaimed, his eyes seizing everyone's attention. "Let us all help Eliana expand her bakery into the community, a place for kids to learn, grow, and maybe throw some cake too." The crowd erupted, cheers ringing through the air. For the first time, walls that separated them faded away, and the shared commitment ignited a partnership that felt like it could change lives. Eliana's heart soared. Was this real? Would her dreams soar with them by her side? As people crowded around her, hope budding in their eyes, Eliana mentally reached for the phone she had left behind. She wanted to text Madison and let her know she was ready to embrace their collaboration to forge a path together that transcended their pasts. And as the night under a canopy of laughter danced on, Eliana knew this wasn't merely the end of conflict. It was the dawn of something greater. A chance to heal, to uplift, and create a legacy of love and resilience, a community united through a shared love of baking, laughter, and all the messiness life had to offer. Eliana wiped cake remnants from Aiden's face, laughter bubbling up anew. "All right, you two. Let us make an epic plan for sweet resilience." This was the moment she'd been waiting for, the start of endless possibilities. Life at its sweetest, unfolding right before them. Full of promise and potential. Now, the real journey could begin, and you need to be part of it. Subscribe now to ensure you don't miss out on the next chapter. Leave a like if this transformation resonated with you. Comment your thoughts and feelings below. How will you take these lessons forward? And share this video immediately with 5 friends who need to see this journey of hope and connection. Don't wait not even one more second to spread positivity and join us on this amazing adventure.